In this video, we're going to be looking at what a systems register is and why they're important and how you can build one. I'm Laura Belmain. I'm going to be your guide today. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of SafeStack, and I've been a software developer for 20-something years, but we don't talk about that. So let's get started. So what is a system register? Well, most of us, if I'm honest, don't just build one piece of software. If you work for an organization, you probably have multiple projects at different stages in their life. And when you're trying to start doing AppSec or build an application security program, it can be tempting to feel like you have to do everything all at once, and that each of these problems or each of these projects requires the same skills or techniques or approaches, but they don't. Much like your projects might be of different qualities, of different languages, of different ages and stages, security will need to be different in each of them. So a systems register is a way of you cataloging or creating a list of all of the applications and software projects you have. By creating this list and creating entries for them that includes key information, we're going to go through that shortly, you can decide which order to tackle projects in. You can identify which projects might have more risk than others. You can decide which ones might need special approaches because they look a bit different to others that you've encountered. The other nice thing about a systems register is security is a team sport. So if you've joined this on your own from a company, that's cool, welcome. But if you wanted to invite colleagues, peers from your team to join in, you absolutely can. A systems register is a list of all of your projects and their criteria. So if you're then making a plan, you can say, hey, I'm going to take application number 2. I know that one inside out. But you might say, hey, I know that you're on this one. How about we divide and conquer? And you take one of the others, and you can track and you can assign responsibility this way. So what does a systems register have in it? That's going to be quite an important thing to know, right? Well, let's start with the basics. Name and description, right? I know you're like, well, I know all of my projects and I know what they all do, but do you remember when you first started your job and somebody was like, hey, here's some buzzwords and some systems and now they belong to you, congratulations. And do you remember how hard it was to try and grasp what they did? This helps you have a step forward. And there's going to be dozens of repos of projects in your environment that perhaps you're not familiar with. So use a good description. It's a kindness to others to explain what that system does. Outside of those boring basics, we've got some other things we want to capture. So let's talk about your source code itself. Where is it stored? Is it stored in something like GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, or is it in a crazy SVN repo somewhere? It's okay. Knowing is part of this process. Is it up in the cloud or is it local? Is it on a machine physically located in your office right now? You have to behave differently in both those scenarios. The next things we look at are the development stage and maturity of it. So is this in active development or has it been paused? Is it now in maintenance mode? Is it deployed into a production space or is it just in development and test right now? Has it been retired? Now, the reason we gather those bits of information is it changes where we have opportunity to put our security controls. If your project is no longer out in the world or isn't being built or changed regularly, then all of that tooling you might put into a build pipeline may never run because your code isn't being built. So by having this information, you can look at a glance and go, that project there is going to be more difficult to secure because of these reasons, or that project there is going to need a different approach. So create your system register and log all of those pieces of software that you have. And the level of detail in the fields you had will change based on your organization, your context, but start with our template. That's a really great way to get going without any dramas. Once you've got that, don't forget to add a task for yourself to once a month, just double check that it's up to date. Software moves really fast. That's 2 sprints. And so you'll know if something new's been added, you can add that in. And that gives us an opportunity not just to make our plan, but keep our plan updated as systems change. So that's a systems register. It's a really simple way for you to figure out where to begin and how many things you're going to need to secure in the end. And we can't do any security until we know what the landscape looks like. Thank you for joining me. If you've enjoyed this, remember to like and subscribe for more videos just like this that are going to help you bring security through your software development lifecycle in just 1 hour per sprint.